Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Let's see what I do to make it continue to be happy. I don't know. I leave it to Pastor Marty to do it, right? Happy Mother's Day. I just want to say that to you. Also, thank you, all of you, for making Felipe last week so welcomed. He did a great job, huh? Did a great job. Those of you who weren't here, we had a student from the Bible college, our Bible college, and he came out here and preached a sermon last week. I was like, dang, bro, you're ready. But it's important that we are moving in a place where we're replacing ourselves. We have to continue to bring the next generation along. Who's going to take your job? Now, that's not just in the church. That's at your place of work. Who are you teaching? Who are we discipling to get to the next place? This week, I've had a couple people ask me in our reading, so let me pause for a moment. Those of you who aren't with us on a normal basis, we're reading through the entire Bible, what I'm calling all 66 and 26. So we're reading through the whole Bible this year as a congregation. We've got a reading schedule. If you're interested in that, it's the Bible recap. We're using the Bible recap, but it's in a chronological order. So we started in Genesis and moved right into Job. It's like, wait, how come we were over here and now we're in the middle of the Bible? Because we're reading in the order that it was written. And so some of the books that we're reading right now, man, I've got like multiple, anybody else got multiple bookmarks? It's like one in Samuel, one in Chronicles, one in Psalms, and I'm just all over the place because we're reading the Bible in the way it was written, in the order that it was written, in the time frame that it was written. But one of the things that happened this last week was a couple people asked me about Psalm 22. And Jesus on the cross saying, oh, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why'd you abandon me, right? And did God really abandon him? And there's some commentary on that. I've answered this question, not problematically. I've answered this question twice, but I thought, if there's other people who have that question, if two people have come to me with that question, my God, why have you forsaken me? Jesus is quoting, he's on the cross quoting Psalm 22. I thought if there's these two who are asking, maybe there's others. If you're interested, if you'll write me, you can IM me at Instagram at the Sanctuary SCV, or you can send me an email at wecare@thesanctuarychurch.com. What I did is I just did the work, and I wrote out a little commentary. It's not a big thing, but if you're interested, so what happened at that moment when Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me? What was that all about? Did God really abandon his son at the cross? And so I put down some thoughts on that. If you're interested in going a little bit deeper on that, I know some people are, and so if you are, you can get a hold of me that way. In our reading right now, I'm going to dig in here this morning, but in our reading, the worship of God is in shambles. Israel is a mess. I mean, it's a total mess, right? Today, we're going to look at the Ark of the Covenant. Not exactly what it looks like, but based on the descriptions that the Bible gives us, artists have done their best to try and imagine what that's all about, what the angels look like. Are the angels standing? Are the angels sitting? Are the angels kneeling? It didn't really say. It just said there were angels on top. And it does say that their wings touched each other. So there's some description, but this is kind of a rough understanding of what that looks like. That box is about the size of your coffee table in your living room. So imagine your coffee table, just then stand it up, and it was a box big enough to hold these items. We've read about all of this, but this is what I want to dig into this morning. I want to dig into the Ark of the Covenant. It was captured by the Philistines. We read about that a little bit ago, back when Eli was judge. So remember when we were in Judges, we talked about Samson on Easter Sunday? Oh, Lord. Back in Judges, Samuel was the last of the judges, right? And so they captured the Ark of the Covenant, and they put it in their temple called Dagon, their god called Dagon. Anybody remember Dagon was also the temple where Samson brought the house down, right? He said, in the temple of Dagon, he said, put my hands between these pillars, and then he knocks the whole temple down. Well, they've either got another temple or they rebuilt this temple, and so the Ark of God, this Ark, is put into their sacred space along with their god, Dagon. And so they bring it in there, right? And the first time, right, they bring it in, they go, hey, look what we got from the Israelites. How cool is this, right? And the next morning, they come in, Dagon is fallen face down. Anybody remember reading this, right? He's face down. And they're like, what happened in here? So they prop it back up. They stand it back up. The next morning, Dagon is on his face again, except this time his head has been broken off and both hands are broken off. And they're like, we probably, the only thing that's happened between this and bringing that in, that's the problem. We should get rid of that, right? So they're thinking, this is Israel God. We got to get this out of the temple somehow because it's interfering with our worship. So twice Dagon is defeated, right? Well, so they start moving around. The Philistines start moving around the Ark of God. They start moving around, and every city that they take the Ark of God to gets plagued. It is described as a 7-month period of time of rats, boils, and death. It's like you read it and you go, that's bubonic plague, right? I mean, it's crazy. It's really describing it, but it doesn't use that word. That's our title for it, right? But 7 months this goes on. And every time, every city that they move the Ark of the Covenant into, that starts happening in that city. And they're like, we got to get rid of this thing. So eventually the leaders, I think rightly concluded that it's having this in their city that's causing the plaguing. So they return the Ark to Israel. And the Ark stays at a place, a guy's name is Abinadab. Why didn't I name my son Abinadab? Like, what a great name, right? But during the last 20 years of Saul's reign, Saul reigns in Israel for 40 years. The last 20, this has been in Israel. It's just been sitting in some guy's house. Imagine, what would the Raiders of the Lost Ark do, right? It's just sitting in some guy's house, the Ark of the Covenant just sitting there, and they do nothing about it. David hears about it, and he says, okay, I'm now king. I know what a blessing this Ark is. I'm fully aware. Like, this is the Ark that when they carried it into a river, the river split, and on dry ground, they crossed the river. This thing that's sitting in this guy's house, Abinadab's house, this is a powerful thing, and there's blessings connected to it. So we should bring this all the way back into Jerusalem. So if you got your Bibles, come with me. I'm going to be in the Old Testament Bible bookshelf. Look at all those. We're a third of the way through our Bible reading right now, you guys. So good. So I'm going to be in 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. If you want to join our little book club this morning, you can turn to page 152 in the Bible in the chair back. Okay, there's a Bible there. Turn to page 152 if you want to join our book club. But watch this. Chapter 6, 2 Samuel, starting in verse 1. David gathers all the elite troops of Israel, 30,000 men. That's a lot. And he leads them to Baalah of Judah to bring back the Ark of God, which bears the name of the Lord of Heaven's armies, who is enthroned between the cherubim. Right? Here he comes. They placed the Ark of God on a new cart, and they brought it from Abinadab's house, which was on a hill. Uzzah and Ahio, Abinadab's sons, they're guiding the cart that the Ark of God is on, right? And Ahio walks in front of the Ark. David, listen to this party that's going on. David, all the people of Israel, they're all celebrating before the Lord, singing songs, playing kinds of music instruments, lyres and harps and tambourines and castanets and cymbals. And when they arrive at the threshing floor of Nadon, the oxen stumble that are pulling the cart. And Uzzah reaches out his hand to steady the ark. Verse 7, then the Lord's anger was aroused against Uzzah, and God struck him dead because of this. I'm like, wet blanket to the party, right? This is God. We're having a good time. We're worshiping you. Everything is about you. Look, we got all these instruments. We got all these dancers. We're all worshiping you. We're bringing the Ark of God back into Jerusalem. Dead. Wow, way to destroy the party, right? I got frustrated. When I first read this, I'm like, golly, Uzzah died right there beside the Ark of God. That is such a fast turn. It's like, okay, let's bring the Ark of God back to Israel. And then Uzzah's dead. It's like, what? I see this happen. I'm like, what's going down? If you have the app, open up your app, because I think there's a whole lot that we can learn from this story. So if you got the app, open it up this morning. I got some scriptures for you, some fill in the blanks for you. I want you to have all these things. But by the way, as I continue to roam around, because I am going to roam around, stay here in 2 Samuel chapter 6, because we're going to come back here. God has given, to give you some background, God has given specific instructions for transporting the Ark of Covenant. This is the Ark of the Covenant. I showed it to you before, right? He's got some specific instructions. It happens back here in Numbers chapter 4, verse 15. Watch this. Look at how he instructs them. He's talking about the Ark of the Covenant here. Watch. The camp will be ready to move when Aaron and his sons have finished covering the sanctuary and all the sacred articles, including the Ark of the Covenant. That's one of the sacred articles. The Kohathites will come and what? Carry these things to the next destination, but they must not touch the sacred objects or they will die. The instructions have been given. So these are the things from the tabernacle that are Kohathites must carry, and that gets in a list, and one of them is the Ark of the Covenant. Somebody didn't read the instructions, right? Here, the ark isn't being transported according to these instructions. That's what's happening here in 2 Samuel 6. And we don't know why. I don't know why it's not there. Maybe, at one point nobody's reading these instructions. That's so irrelevant for today. It doesn't apply to us today. How many have heard that about the Bible, right? Today. Well, here's David. It was all written way back here, and now David's here trying to transport the ark. And so they decide, you know what? We got this. So the people put the ark on a new cart. Not an old cart, not a sturdy cart. The ark deserves a new cart. But they didn't read this. They left out some important details. If you're filling in your blanks, look at this one. When God gives detailed his instructions, he expects us to follow those instructions to the detail. If he's been so specific, we should be listening. He was really specific when he said, hey, this is what you do. Don't anybody touch it. That person will die. No mention of a cart ever. But they go, oh, we got this. We got this idea. Hey, and we know how to handle this. I'm a new cart builder. Anybody else want to? I'm just always finding new carts for things, right? Why and where do we substitute these detailed instructions for our own ideas? Think about it. Think about where in your life that we substitute the detailed instructions for our own ideas. Here's what happened to me, right? We recently, our shark died. Baby shark, you're ruined for the rest of service. You're welcome. Okay. So my shark vacuum died. We got a new shark vacuum. And so I put it all together because I can handle that. And I put it all together, right? I got it all together. And I'm like, how does the dust thing come off? And I'm pulling on it and I'm pressing the buttons. And I'm like, because my last one, you press this button and the dust thing comes off. And it's not doing it. And so you know what I had to do? I read the instructions. They go, oh, yeah, we've improved that design. And now you have these two little clips over here. And it goes click, click, and poop, and it comes right off. And I'm like, ah. Right? In my house, my bride, we got this air filter thing, right? And look at this. Beyond the 16 languages in the back, forget about that. I'm just talking, it's a lot, right? So we get this air filter thing in our house, and I'm like, okay, cool, right? And so we think, we should probably clean the filter at some point, right? Right? So I'm trying to take the cover off of this air filter thing. I'm pulling on it. I'm like, I don't know how this thing comes off. Got the instruction booklet, and as I'm reading how to take the cover off, it says, change it once a month. Or, take care of it once a month. I'm like, well, that's been 6 months ago. Never read it. You know why? Because I don't need those instructions. I know how to handle this. This one right here. These are the manuals that came with my pool equipment. I still have never read any of these. I just gave them to my pool man. Thank you, John. Gave them to my pool man and said, dude, you read those. I don't have time to read what that thing does, So this is the way the light works and the salt thing. But here's the thing. God gives us these instructions. And then we go, yeah, I can handle it. And we substitute the detailed instructions for our own ideas. I go, I know how to do this. And the thing is, really, Home Depot taught us that we could be doers. I could get more done and they can help. Right? I know, right? That's the way it works. We learned that we are DIY people. I can do this. I can make this thing happen, right? And that's not just in our homes, by the way. Today we call Dr. Google. You know how frustrating doctors must be with Dr. Google? Right? It's like we walk into the doctor and go, hey, so here's what's wrong with me. I just need you to write me a prescription because I read it on Google. Doctors must be just so irritated with Dr. Google, right? It's got to be crazy. And if you don't want to pay that mechanic, just YouTube it. Right? Why should I have to pay somebody else to do it? Look at that. I got a video that shows me right here. I just take off this. Where did this bolt come from? Right? Literally, I want you to know, I called a plumber this last week, called the plumber out. He's looking at my issues, and I'm saying, yeah, this thing has to go on. And he's like, okay, it's $500. I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. So I guess I'll just live with the leak. No, it wasn't. But I said, well, that's not going to happen because we're going to have to save up for that, you know. And so he goes, well, you're a handy guy, right? I go, no. He goes, well, what's that? You have a tool bucket right over there. I said, that's for show. Yeah, it's for hanging a picture, you know. No, he goes, you could do this. And he says, listen. He goes, this part costs $7 at Home Depot. He just estimated me for $500. He said, this part costs $7 at Home Depot. You take off that little knob here, you take off this one, you put it in between, you screw them back on, you're done. I'm like, that the job you just quoted me $500 for could be done for $7 in a YouTube video? I'm in. Because we're DIY people. I build carts. I can do it myself. Why do I need somebody else? And I think it's a problem. In this particular DIY moment, the Lord punishes Israel. They're partying. How is this a bad plan? We're bringing the Ark of the Covenant that Philistines took from us. It's been sitting in this guy's house. We're bringing it back in Jerusalem. This is a great thing. And God goes, you're dead. Like, what was that? What just happened? David acted without divine orders. David didn't have any, thus saith the Lord, in this situation. And keep in mind, and I've marked them out in my Bible, there are 9 different times. David is known for asking God for instructions. Over and over and over again, 9 times, the Bible, and I've underlined them all, the Bible says, and David inquired of the Lord, and David asked of the Lord, and David went before God and asked him. It's consistent. It's his character that he asks. Except in this instance. He doesn't ask. He just goes, hey, let's move the ark. Build a new cart. How cool is this? And it doesn't go well. 3 months after this situation here in chapter 6, verse 1 here, 3 months after, he's done his homework. David has done his homework. He's done the research now. He's watched the YouTube video, right? He's done his homework, and he's got all the instructions, and he goes to get the ark. Watch what happens in just chapter 6, verses 11 and 12. The ark of the Lord remained in Obed-Edom's house for 3 months, where it stopped, where Uzzah was killed. They go, put it in his house. And I'd be Obed-Edom. I'm like, is he going to kill me for that? You know, I'm like, I'd have some pauses, right? But he says, put it in Obed-Edom's house. The ark of the Lord remains there in his house for 3 months. Watch this. And the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and his entire household. King David was told, hey, the Lord's blessing Obed-Edom's household and everything he has because of the ark of God. Look at David. This is so me, right? So David went there and brought the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with a great celebration. It's like, I want in on that blessing. David sees what's happening to Obed-Edom, and he's like, why? That should be happening to me. So he makes this decision, I'm going to go get the ark. And he's planning on moving the ark. And look at what he says in 1 Chronicles chapter 15. He commanded, listen how he's done his homework. Remember what we did before? Let's build a new cart. Not the best cart anybody else has. We're going to build a new cart for the ark. Now look what's happened. No one except the Levites may carry the ark of God. Did we read about that in Numbers 4? See, number 14, watch. The Lord has chosen them to carry the ark of the Lord. To carry. No one may carry. David knows now. Before it was like, hey, you just bring it down on a new cart, we'll take it into Jerusalem. Now he understands, oh, this isn't an anybody job. This is only a Levite job. This is only reserved for them. Side note, by the way, as we're reading this, and it's really important that you kind of get this, the context of what's happening here is, as you're reading 1st and 2nd Samuel, we got to keep in mind that was one book. 1st and 2nd Samuel used to just be Samuel. But it was so big, they go, let's split it into two. Same thing with Chronicles, same thing, right? It just continues through here, right? Kings and Chronicles, they were all one book, but they were so big, they just said, let's make them 1st Kings and 2nd Kings, right? And here's the thing, that we have to understand that the audience is kind of different too. Because as you're reading 1st and 2nd Samuel, or again, the big book of Samuel, it's kind of a historical docudrama. So when you're reading in Samuel the story of David doing all this, it comes out like this. And so David checked with this person, and then his wife was there, and they had these kids, and there's all this information. That's the way it comes out in Samuel. But when you read it in Chronicles, it's more like the nightly news. David went to move the ark, and this guy died. It's just very matter of fact. There's no extra, it's just nightly news. And so you got to understand that when you're reading it, in one place you're going, how come they give all this extra information about David? And how come they don't give it over here? Well, because the audience was different. So Chronicles, Kings, Samuel, they have this thing. Watch what continues. Watch as David continues in 1 Chronicles. He brings some instructions specifically to the Levites. First, he's talking to everybody. Hey, everybody, nobody but the Levites are allowed to carry it. And because that's the truth, let me talk to you Levites for a moment. Watch this. 1 Chronicles chapter 15 continues going on like this. He says to the Levites, you're the leaders of the Levite families. You got to purify yourselves and all your fellow Levites so you can bring the ark of the Lord, the God of Israel, to the place I have prepared for it. Because, here it comes. He's done his homework. Because you Levites didn't carry. Not because you Levites didn't guide the new cart. See, he knows now. He knows. Because you Levites didn't carry the ark the first time, Uzzah's dead. The anger of the Lord burned against Lord of our God burned out against us, and we failed to ask how to move it properly. How many of us are smart enough we don't need to ask God how to move something properly? Bunch of liars. That was not a rhetorical question. I'm smart enough. I've got it. I know what to do. I don't need this. I know how to move an ark. Just build a new cart. It's pretty easy. It's straightforward. How honorable. I spent good shekels on new wood. It's a new cart. I got new wheels. How is this a bad plan? Oh, because you had specific instructions. And here's what's happening these days. The church, I would say you and I, we want God to bless us, but we're not willing to follow his instructions. I want God's blessing financially, relationally. I want God's blessing in my life, health, but I do not want to follow this. And God goes, I have something to say about that. If we follow his instructions to be blessed, we'll be blessed. David got it. He was like, I did my homework, and now I know why Obed-Edom is getting so blessed. For 3 months, that guy's been raking in on God's blessing. Because I read, it's a blessing. The Ark of the Covenant's a blessing. It wasn't to the Philistines, but it didn't belong to them. It belonged to the people of Israel. We got to be like David and ask for the divine standard. God, what is your pattern? Not just the popular means and methods. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's God. Just because something is acceptable over there, just because they appear to be succeeding, doesn't make it right. And I look and I listen to the church these days, the capital C church, the body of Christ, and the things that we are saying and doing, and I wonder sometimes if God is asking what he asked of Isaiah. Look what he says. God's asking Isaiah, when you come to worship me, who asked you to parade through my courts with all your ceremony? Let me just pause, because this is what I feel like God is asking us today. There's this group over here. Well, we'll talk extremes on the spectrum, on the far ends of the spectrum of the church, the body of Christ, the people of God. There's this spectrum over here on the spectrum. On the far end is one over here says, oh, we're not allowed to use any instruments, no drums, no guitars, no pianos, no nothing, because we are God's instruments and we are the ones who worship God, and only us can worship God, and instruments get in the way. And they have become legalistic on this far end of the spectrum. But then I go over here. I've seen the videos, man. When were we instructed to put trapeze artists in worship? I'm like, what is that about, right? And then we had this roller coaster through worship, and I was like, what is happening here? And those are the extremes. That's easy for us to poke fun at, isn't it? Poke fun at those guys like they've lost the point. They've missed the message, right? It's like, you guys, this is not what it's about. But let's not go there. Let's go right here. Watch this. Watch this. Worship leader stands up and says, hey, let's stand and worship the Lord together. I don't think so. Don't tell me what to do. Did God say anything about standing in worship? I think he did. Did God say anything about submitting to leaders? I think he did. And see, that's all I'm saying is like we can laugh at the extremes, but let's ask ourselves of the one thing. When the Lord, watch this, when the Lord says, hey, I want you, this is the hard one, I want you to lead your congregation through the Bible this year. Okay. All right, church, here's what I think the Lord's asked me to do. I know it's crazy, but I think we can do it. Remember, we can do hard things. Anybody remember this? You guys, I know it's crazy, but less than 20% of Christians who go to church every Sunday, less than 20% have read through the Bible cover to cover. And don't raise your hands. There are people in this room, never done it, never done it, never done it, never done it. So the Lord said, get your people through the Word. And so I stood up and said, hey, you guys, we can do hard things. And some people went, not me. I'm like, okay. And again, I'm asking the middle here. I'm thinking, hey, wait, is it possible? Is it possible that God is asking us to do something? Sometimes we want to include stuff in our faith and in our worship that's not according to God's pattern, but our own. In Exodus 25, it says this. Or in Hebrews, it's talking about Exodus 25. Look what the writer of Hebrews is way over in the New Testament. It's talking about the church. Listen to this. Hebrews is talking to the church. And he says this. They serve in a system, he's talking about the Jews, of worship that's only a copy. It's a shadow of the real one in heaven. When Moses was getting ready to build the tabernacle, God gave him this warning. Be sure you make everything, look at this, according to the pattern I've shown you here on the mountain. There's a pattern I have for you. There's a reason I did the things that I did and the way that I did them. And I go, Uzzah's intentions were good. He's concerned the Ark of the Covenant's going to fall over off of the new cart when the oxen stumbled. But the oxen, the cart, and all, none of it was ever mentioned. He said, you're to carry this thing on poles. The new cart wasn't anywhere in the instructions, the pattern that God gave for carrying and caring for the ark. He said, this is the way you care for it. You got to cover it, right? Here's a fill-in for you. Sins committed with good intentions are still punishable by God. That's tough. That's a tough one. You look at Uzzah. What's he doing? I just didn't want it to fall to the ground. We may think of Uzzah as innocent, but he's guilty of not following the instructions. But he didn't know about the instructions. It's like getting a ticket. I didn't know that was how fast it was. Your ignorance of the law is no excuse of the law. Right? So that's what's happening here. At one point, Paul, in Romans chapter 10, Paul commends the church of Rome. He's talking to the church of Rome, and he's going, hey, listen, regarding the Jews, listen, they have good intentions. Their enthusiasm is amazing. The problem is I'm condemning them for not practicing the righteousness of God. It's like, I know you're excited about things of God, but you're not doing it the way God asked you to do it. Look what he says in Romans chapter 10. This is Paul talking. Beloved, the longing of my heart and my prayer to God is for the people of Israel to be saved. I want that to happen. I know what enthusiasm they have for God. They are so excited about following God, but it's misdirected zeal. They don't understand, look at this, here it is, God's way. Can you say God's way? That's important. We better get that this morning. God's way. God's way. They don't understand God's way of making people right with himself. Refusing to accept, oh, you're getting it. They cling to their own way of getting right with God by trying to keep the law. He's going, it's not the law anymore. Jesus fulfilled the law. He's trying to explain it to them. He's like, it doesn't work this way. All of our good intentions are not good as we try to balance the scales. This is what we do. And I hear people say, oh, I did this bad thing, so I'm trying to do these 2 extra good things to outweigh the bad things that I did. Oh, sorry. I wasn't talking about somebody in the world. I'm talking about people in the church. I really blew it on this thing, so I'm really trying to be more disciplined in this so that God will be happy with me. I'm like, that's nowhere here. You've lost the message. You've missed what Jesus came for. We have to embrace the grace. And I know that makes people in this room shudder. Oh, don't say that because then people won't try. Oh, you're probably reading the Old Testament way too much and you haven't read enough about what Jesus had to say about the Old Testament and how he fulfilled the Old Testament. It's grace. We are saved by grace. Here's a fill-in for you. Failure to follow God's pattern, this is a tough one, is a sign of disrespect. Did you just say we disrespect God? Yes. When we don't follow God's pattern, it's a disrespect. And we all do this when we don't show enough regard for the Lord to inquire from his word. What does the Bible have to say? To see what he has to say about the situations before us. Should I go for that promotion? It's more money. I should go for that promotion. I don't need to ask God. That's an easy new cart. Of course I should go for that promotion. Of course we should move. I could build a cart for that. I don't need to ask God if we should move or not. Naturally we should. See, I've got it. We don't have reverence for the will of God. And I want you to know that's not just our society and our culture, but that's in the church. The church is guilty of this as well, the capital C church. Before engaging conversations on hot topics like maybe homosexuality, abortion, borders, immigration, what did God say about that? What does God have to say, right? Before we abandon gatherings like this. I don't like those people. Christians, a bunch of hypocrites. Oh, so you'll gather with the hypocrites on Monday morning at your work, but the hypocrites who gather here and sinners who gather here on a Sunday morning. See, this is a problem. And you know what? Pancakes and coffee is so much easier if I just watch church on TV. Church is where we gather. That's the church. The definition of the church is a gathering. But man, it would just be so easy to just live stream. That's not church. Before we take a position, and we stand in a position regarding maybe it's tithing or work and Sabbath or sex outside of marriage. It's old. This doesn't apply to us. This is irrelevant to me. That was thousands of years ago. Before listening, you can write this one down. This is the big one for today. Before listening to an authority on any topic, maybe we ought to start asking the authority on every topic. Beloved, that's a toughie. Woo! I just said it. We are so busy listening to CNN and Fox more than the Word. That's a problem. Which gives us, and the Word, which is fantastic, gives us so many examples of exactly what's happening today. The division in the same nation of Israel. We'll get to it, the north and the south. The divisions that are happening in Israel, oh my gosh. There's good and bad, righteous and unrighteous, selfless and selfish, leaders, kings, prophets, judges, and I'm going through it, I'm going, this is America. And then he goes, here's how you need to act when things look like this. And I'm not seeing the church follow this. I'm seeing the church join in with the world. I'm like, that's not our political party. We're Kingdom Party, remember? Let the kingdom come here on earth as it is in heaven. That's what we're following out. We've got to learn this lesson. Big, big, big. There it is. You want to take a picture of it, grab your camera, man, because that's it. If we can keep our eyes on God. I'm busy looking at leaders, busy looking at politicians, busy looking at husbands and wives, smart people. But we got to keep our eyes on God, who doesn't change. Who doesn't change. Unlike politics and politicians, and everybody point your fingers toward yourself and me, right? And you, and her, and him. We change all the time. God doesn't change. Do I need to read it for you? Jesus Christ is the same. Yesterday, today, forever. He doesn't change. Politics change. Political power changes. Authorities change. This guy used to be, top of the charts. This guy's the best in whatever sport he's in, whatever wisdom he talks about. Now we don't even hear from him ever anymore. He's not popular anymore. I watch it and I think, well, what's happening? We have to learn this. It is, because it's in a very practical sense, it's disrespectful to think that we can speak or act without consulting God's revelation for God's will. This is God's revelation of himself. You want to know who I am? You want to know my personality? You want to know how I function? You want to know what my expectations are for you? I bet you Uzzah should have wanted that, right? If only Uzzah would have said, cart's a bad idea. This whole story wouldn't be in our Bibles today. But everybody said, new cart? Sounds like a good idea to me. How many new carts are we building, right? Here's the last one for today. Even good counsel from others doesn't always represent authority from God. Beloved, please hear me. Let me pause. I'm not saying don't seek counsel. Seek counsel. Talk to other people. Hey, what do you think about this? I'm debating on doing this. This seems smart to me. This seems like a good choice. What do you think, person that I trust? We're planning on doing this. We're going to move this. We're going to switch this. We're going to offset this. As David prepares to remove the ark from Abinadab's house, not Obed-Edom, we're going back before this point in chapter 6. He wants to move it from Abinadab's house to Jerusalem. He gets counsel from all the right people. Watch this, 1 Chronicles 13. David consults with all his officials, including the generals, the captains of his army. He addresses the entire assembly of Israel. Hey, guys, if you approve, and if it's the will of the Lord our God, let us send messages to all the Israelites throughout the land, including the priests, the Levites, in their towns and pasture lands. Let's invite them to come and join us. It's time to bring back the ark of our God, for we neglected it during the reign of Saul. Here it comes. The whole assembly. Let's define whole assembly. Priests and Levites, captains, generals, the entire assembly of Israel. They all agreed. The whole assembly agreed. For the people could see it's the right thing to do. We know the what. We could figure out the how. We'll build a new cart. There's more. Yeah, you got it. You do have that. And I understand it. All those people are on board for moving the ark back to Jerusalem. They're like, yeah. This is before chapter 6. Please know that just because it seems right in the eyes of God, and maybe even right in the eyes of the world, doesn't make it right. Let me get it. Just because other people say, yeah, doesn't mean it's right for us. There is a great example right here, chapter 7. Check it out. It's right here. It's right as we finish this story. David goes to Nathan the prophet. Nathan the prophet. Remember, this is the guy God talks to. So David goes to Nathan. He goes, Nathan, I'm bringing the Ark of the Covenant back. I want to build a temple. I'm going to build a temple that we're going to put the Ark of the Covenant in, and then we're going to worship God in this temple. Check it out. Watch this. Here's Nathan's reply, chapter 7, verse 3. Go ahead. Nathan, did I tell you Nathan's the prophet? Nathan speaks on behalf of God. You want to hear what God thinks? You talk to Nathan. Right? Watch this. David inquires. Hey, I want to build a temple. Nathan replies, quote, go ahead and do whatever you have in mind, for the Lord is with you. The church approved of it. The prophet said yes. Immediately, the next sentence is, hey, Nathan, you're supposed to be checking with me on these things. You're the prophet. I'm God. I got something to say about this. Oh, is there something you want to say? Yeah, David is not to build me a temple. Oh. He goes back to David. Hey, David, you're not allowed to build a temple. He's like, what happened in the last 5 minutes? You just told me I could. Now you say I can't. What? I checked in with God. Oh, okay. I'm not building a temple. And I want you to know from that point on, David starts amassing timber, gold, silver, bronze. He starts tons of building materials because he was told, your son will build it. And so he goes, I'm going to give my son everything he needs to build it. Here's this beautiful thing. Even the church approved. Nathan the prophet said, yeah. I have a friend who doesn't drink alcohol. He doesn't drink alcohol. Not because the Bible says not to drink alcohol. The Bible doesn't say not to drink alcohol. Watch this. But the Lord told him not to drink alcohol. So even though the Bible doesn't even say that, the Lord gave him a specific instruction. You are not to touch that. And he has never drank alcohol. That's for his thing. So watch. He can have Christian friends going, dude, just have a beer. Dude, this wine is so good. Everybody around me is doing it, and the Bible doesn't say it's not okay. So why not? Because God told me I'm not allowed to. It was a specific instruction for me. I am not to do that. And I go, wow, bro. And as we read through the Bible this year, let's remember something, that the holiness of God never diminishes. God does not change. His holiness does not change. And I instinctively think, probably along with Uzzah, right? And probably everyone who reads this story, that the ground is filthier than Uzzah's hand. Look what happened. The ark is going to fall into dirt. And God says, listen what he's saying. I would rather see my ark in the dirt than your hand to touch it. Where is the filth? The hand of man, the sin that's in humanity. He goes, dirt I made. I made you too, but now sin resides here. You can't touch holiness. My holiness can touch dirt. We watch Jesus do that in the New Testament. In fact, we try to reach out and touch his holiness with our righteousness, we die. But Jesus carried the holiness of God, not in a box, the size of a coffee table. Jesus carried the holiness of God in a body. And instead of us touching the ark, the holiness touched us. God's holiness said, you get to see, and you get to speak, and you get to walk, and you get to come back to life. That's what holiness does when it touches us. But then Jesus fulfills it all. I can't get into it. I wish I could. Jesus dies on the cross. He goes, I've made the holiness available to you. Now you can touch. Now you can touch. I go, oh, let me. Not only that, I can stand in righteousness. I'm not struck dead anymore. I stand in righteousness because I touch the holiness of God, made available to me. I want to turn these rows into circles. I got a couple questions, just one question for you, right? Where do you see this new cart mentality happening in your life? The new cart, I could build a cart. I got a new cart I can build. Where is that happening in your life? In other words, where do we substitute what seems practical or popular for what God has actually said? God has given us some instructions. He said, hey, here's what we got to do. And then we go, yeah, not so much. I got this. Let's turn around, talk to one another, have some conversation. Say hello if you don't know that person. What's your name? How are you? introduce yourself. Other God beside. All righty. We're going to start in worship this morning. My hope is these conversations don't just start and stop here. My hope is this conversation allows us to go, can we keep this going? I have another couple of questions, or somebody mentioned something to me this Sunday, and I want to talk about that. As we go into worship this morning, it would be very easy, watch this, to build a cart. We could build a cart right now. We could build a cart and let someone else do the worship. When I read through the scriptures, there's a clear direction. Clear direction. Remember when I said, let's ask from God's instructions, let's ask God's will, right? There's clear instruction about one thing, and it's cover to cover. Worship. It's clear. He said, I've called you to worship. I've made you to worship. And we go, but not my voice. But not me. So that's why I'm building a cart. My neighbor can do the worship. That section of the room can do the worship. Watch, I'm building a cart. They can do the worship. That's a cart. I'm a cart builder, people. Sorry. Man, I get stuck. I'm like, I can handle this. And God goes, Like, you're right. I blew it last time and the time before. Let's not build a cart this morning in worship. Let's be people of worship. Because here's what happens. When we align to this, we align our heart, our mind, and our heart, we align this, we go, oh, that's what I was built for. I was made for this. I was made to worship God. But I don't feel like it today. This has been a hard week. It's been a difficult time. I'm in the middle of something really rough. I get it. Prayer teams. Go see the prayer teams. You've had something happen this week. It's just crazy. Go talk to somebody and say, just pray for me. I've just had a crazy week. And I want to worship God because that's what I've been instructed to do. But I don't feel like it. I'm tired. I'm weary. I'm exhausted. I'm angry. Whatever it is, I'm disappointed. Come see our prayer teams. They're over here. And then come back in here and take your place in worship. When you read how they worshiped after, when it was put on poles and they're carrying it into Jerusalem, read that worship. It's the rest of chapter 6. Woo! You think David was going crazy the first time around, all the singing, the second time when they got it right, David was, quote, foolish in his worship. We're all willing to go, yeah, paint our bellies green for our favorite team. But in worship, I'm not raising my hands. I'm not going to sing out loud, but we'll scream till we lose our voice for a sports team. And God goes, really? Am I not worthy of that? Yes, you are worthy of that. And today, watch this, I will worship you. Father God, I thank you for a start of our week. Thank you for the time to just stop right here to consider, consider, God, what would you have for me? And we found all these little things, and they're just moving an ark. And I thought that was just a story. Wait. I never imagined all these applications in knowing who you are, your holiness, encountering your holiness. We are doing it today. The mercy seat. That's what we read about today. The cherubim, the angels, and the mercy seat. The mercy seat is here for us today. Let us go boldly to the throne this morning in worship, in song. Okay, you're not on a microphone. Nobody can hear you. Trust me. We're so self-absorbed. Oh. God, would you help us be worshipers in this moment? Let it be so. And in Jesus' name, let it be done.